Hello everyone. Today I'll share my thoughts and theories about the third season of Squid Game. My theory completely changes the trajectory of the plot and is based on hidden details that you missed, as well as information from the actors and the director himself. Enjoy watching. So, what do we know for sure? The second season ended at the most interesting point. Gi-hun leads the players who rebel against the guards to stop the games from within. Player number 1, who, as we know, is actually the frontman, forces Gi-hun to pay dearly for the rebellion. He executes Gi-hun's best friend right in front of him. Remember in the first season they bet together on horse races? Gi-hun himself is captured and the series ends there. Honestly, it was foolish of Gi-hun to trust player number 1, especially after the story with Il-nam. Life teaches him nothing. We also know that the third season will show us the same games as in the second season, because 3 out of the 6 promised competitions remain off-screen. And these competitions will definitely take place, as the VIPs cannot go home without satisfying their thirst for spectacle. But what exactly will happen next? The third season will start exactly where we left off in the second season. There will be a new vote, and the circles will be in the majority. Many crosses died during the night, some during the rebellion, so the advantage will definitely be with the circles. Moreover, the prize fund has increased, as there are fewer players. This will motivate some to vote for. Many fans believe that the post-credits scene actually refers to the 2015 games, the ones in which In-ho won. By starting the season with a picture from the past, the creators of the series could reveal the backstory of the frontman. Undoubtedly, the most mysterious and attractive character in the entire series. This scenario is very likely. I'm sure many would want to know what exactly made him take over the game. Is it true that he lost all faith in humanity? Or did something or someone force him to become the frontman? In the new season, as before, participants will have to directly eliminate each other, playing various grim and unhealthy games. For example, playing marbles. If Gi-hun cannot enlighten them about the situation, they will surely choose partners based on personal sympathies, which will only exacerbate the bitterness of loss. I suppose Mengi will be forced to compete with his ex-girlfriend and will most likely sacrifice himself for her and their future child. The same fate is guaranteed for the old woman and her son, as well as Hunju and Daeho. One can assume that the railroad game, shown in the post-credits scene, refers to the so-called trolley problem, and players will have to choose whom to sacrifice to save several people at once. The victim will most likely be the one the decision-maker cares about the most. What if the frontman forces Gi-hun to choose who to save in order to break his spirit? In the past, the frontman has deliberately intervened in the game to eliminate those Gi-hun likes. The theme of sacrificing one for the good of the majority has already been raised in the series, and a game related to this could become a sophisticated punishment for all participants. This way, the frontman would have an incentive to keep Gi-hun alive, and the rich could watch him pay for the rebellion. By the way, from the first season we learned that the challenges in which players are to participate are schematically depicted on the walls of the living room. Judging by these drawings, in the current games, we should expect a game on the horizontal bar, as well as something similar to chess. Let's talk about them in more detail. In one of the pictures, people are depicted climbing across bars. This activity could easily be turned into a deadly competition, forcing players to move at a great height, similar to the glass bridge from the first season. If a participant falls, he dies. If he does not reach the goal before time runs out, well, you get the idea. In another game shown in the post-credits scene, there is a railroad and a traffic signal. By the way, the new doll is called Chul-soo, which appears in South Korean textbooks alongside Yeon-hee. The next game may be similar to the traditional Korean game Dong-dong, where players must respond to rhythmic commands, moving and stopping at the right moments. I imagine it like this. While a melody plays, players walk along the railway track, with dolls on both sides holding hands. Players need to reach a designated point, grabbing the person in front of them, but at the same time, each can drop the one who is behind.
Sure. Like this? Like we're the Conga line, huh?
Another drawing on the wall resembles a chessboard or checkers, since the games are supposed to be childlike. Players might have to participate in a real chess game, where each move that takes a piece off the board will result in someone's death. The game would require 32 or 24 players, the number of pieces in chess and checkers respectively. Each team will have a leader controlling the pieces, and player 456, Gi-hun, will be one of them. From a plot perspective, this makes sense. In the 7th episode, Gi-hun told the frontman that smaller sacrifices are needed for the greater good. He will have to answer for his words. By the way, 2 teams for Black and White have already formed. One wants to continue the game, and the others want to leave. This makes a nice metaphor for the confrontation between Gi-hun and In-ho, and their clashing ideologies. Look at the promotional materials for the 3rd season. Gi-hun is dressed in a black jacket, while In-ho is in white. Player 44, the shaman, gives us a glimpse into Gi-hun's future. Few understood why she was needed, and many found her annoying. But her storyline contains important details worth noting. From her first appearance, she demonstrates an amazing ability to sense the problems that are tearing Gi-hun from the inside. The shaman sees right through Gi-hun, understanding that he is haunted by the old games and the ghosts of dead players. Essentially, this character is a metaphor for Gi-hun's guilt towards those who have died. This guilt drives him to participate in the games again. He is thirsty for revenge. Nevertheless, the shaman's remarks may be directly related to the events of the 3rd season. Joining player number 120's team in the 6-legged pentathlon, the shaman says, "I must kill you with this knife," while looking towards the mother and son. After the carousel indoors game, the shaman feels betrayed and starts an argument, declaring that she has cursed Gi-hun and the other crosses, and that they will all die a slow and painful death. She previously told Gi-hun, "You have lived much longer than you should have. You are not here by chance. Fate brought you here," while glancing at player number 222, the pregnant woman. Most likely, Gi-hun will play a significant role in her fate. The child will be born during the games, and Gi-hun will do everything to ensure that both the mother and child survive. A ray of hope will penetrate the chaos-ridden world. The frontman will see this and revert to his former, kind self. Remember, the frontman's wife died while pregnant. This loss causes him great pain, and he might show sympathy for someone who reminds him of his wife. For instance, in the Thanos scene, In-ho flew into a rage and beat up a guy just for saying, "Take better care of your children." Certainly, there will be casualties in the storyline with the pregnant woman, as the shaman predicts. Soon you will join her in the underworld. Player number 120 clearly sees this as a bad omen, not just idle talk, as do the son and mother. The old woman will definitely be delivering the baby. We already know she can do it. Overall, the shaman seems a bit crazy, but her predictions should not be dismissed. The creator of the series did not add her to the plot for no reason. Shamanism in Korea has ancient roots, and although its representatives are now very hard to find, many consider shamans to be seers and consult them on serious matters. And what could be more serious than Squid Game? Player number 246 is the artist with a sick daughter. Many fans are sure he will return in the 3rd season. Yes, he was shot during the rebellion, but in an unusual way there is a hidden detail in that scene that is easy to miss, but it may have serious implications. The guard who shot player 246, likely wearing number 11, is the same girl who visited the girl in the hospital. Initially, the guard aims the weapon at the player's heart, but at the last moment diverts it to the side, and this looks like an act of mercy. I think the wound will turn out to be non-fatal, and guard number 11 will likely try to save player 246 from the organ traders. This will undoubtedly cause dissatisfaction among the other guards. Remember, they already attacked number 11 because she interfered with the trade. I think guard number 11 will somehow force the organ traders to release player number 246, and they will together free Gi-hun. By the way, there's a separate theory related to guard number 11's name. The girl is named Kang No-il. Remember Kang Se-byuk from the 1st season? Both are from North Korea and share the surname Kang. No-il means sunset, while Se-byuk means dawn. By the way, a sunset or dawn is depicted on the official poster for the 3rd season. Both women are refugees from North Korea, desperately trying to bring their families to South Korea. Se-byuk had an older brother who died of the plague. It is conceivable that guard number 11 is the wife of that brother, having taken his surname, and the child that guard number 11 is looking for is the cousin of Kang Chol, the boy Gi-hun entrusted to Sang-woo's mother. I am absolutely convinced that in the 3rd season, the frontman will betray his organization. There's plenty of evidence for this. We know that In-ho deeply loved his wife and lost his zest for life after her death. He deliberately spared Jun-ho on the island, shooting in such a way as to avoid suspicion, and ordered the captain to find his brother immediately after he fell from the cliff. Think about it. What are the odds that a random boat with a captain who already works for the frontman finds Jun-ho at just the right moment? Undoubtedly, the frontman orchestrated everything himself, and I believe that deep down he still harbors tender feelings for his late wife, mother, and brother, thus preserving some remnants of humanity. I'm also convinced that the frontman is the initiator of the organ trade. From the scene with Junho at the cemetery, we learn that In-ho's wife died of liver disease, and her death greatly impacted In-ho. He won the games and got a ton of money, but still could not save his wife and child. Why? Perhaps he couldn't find a suitable donor? This is undoubtedly a serious psychological trauma. Learning that no one was willing to sacrifice themselves for the future mother, In-ho stopped believing in kindness and humanity as a whole. This justifies his mindset that gamblers and people with large debts are considered second-class beings, whose organs can be freely harvested. Perhaps In-ho entered the games wishing to obtain a liver from one of the eliminated players for his wife, or maybe it was already too late, and he wanted to save others from the same fate. This theory has solid grounds. Before the relay race, In-ho slaps himself and calls himself useless. Such feelings are understandable. He feels like a failure for allowing his wife to die. Judging by how the frontman dealt with the doctor who conspired with the guards in the first season, he might no longer want to help anyone. But I am still convinced that he started the organ trade. After all, they aren't just trading for no reason. The process is well organized and requires substantial investment. This theory also explains why In-ho stayed in the game. He wanted to find a liver, but after his wife's death, he felt he had no reason to go back home. Whatever the reason that led In-ho to the game, to save his wife or to obtain organs to save others, he no longer believes in humanity. A small detail in the second season that seems to have been overlooked by everyone is that the new games take place on the 5th anniversary of In-ho's wife's death. This means she died in 2018 or later, and the frontman won his games in 2015. He had the money to save her. So why did Junho discover in the first season that his brother was living in a cheap hotel and struggling to pay the rent on time? Why didn't he spend the money to save her? Well, perhaps in the third season we will learn that the frontman, like Gi-hun, felt guilty about the debts of other players, was a man of high moral principles, and therefore could not bring himself to use the money. The creator of Squid Game mentioned that the frontman has a light side and to some extent likes the company of Gi-hun. In the 6th episode of the second season, we see a turning point reflecting the complexity of the frontman's character and the 3 different personalities living within him. In the door game, where players must gather in groups of a certain size and lock themselves in rooms, in the round where no more than 2 people should be in the room, the frontman unhesitatingly and without blinking an eye kills someone to meet the requirement. This scene displays all 3 personalities of the frontman. In-ho, the experienced police officer he once was, Yeon-il, the Squid Game participant desperate to survive at any cost, and the frontman himself, a cold, calculating leader ready to do anything to maintain control over the situation. The series creator also confirmed that Gi-hun's unwavering hope and compassion undoubtedly influenced the frontman. At certain moments, you can feel that he genuinely enjoys the game, feels joy or nerves. The frontman pretended to be a player, wanting to directly manipulate Gi-hun and change his worldview. But subconsciously, he admires the man who refuses to give up on his hopes. After all, that's who the police officer named In-ho once was. According to the creator of Squid Game, the love for people Gi-hun exhibits is so contagious that deep down, In-ho wishes him to win the games. In one interview, the director of Squid Games stated that In-ho and Gi-hun have directly opposite views on saving human lives. It seems to me that In-ho will try to finally break Gi-hun's spirit and destroy his hopes. But this will lead to the opposite result. Gi-hun's belief that people are worth saving is too strong. In-ho has a strange interest in Gi-hun and his life philosophy, possibly because this philosophy resonates with his own. Perhaps the frontman is already ready to believe in humanity again, and it is Gi-hun who will manage to awaken in him the person who once was a donor himself. The climax of the show might be the frontman deciding to activate the explosives mentioned in the first season and destroy everyone, including the VIPs. Why? Well, the VIPs seem to exclude him from their circle. In-ho behaves distantly and seems to restrain his dissatisfaction. In short, he might betray his organization. Of course, Gi-hun will try to convince In-ho to reconsider and not blow everything up. But after everything that has happened earlier, I do not believe the frontman will survive the finale of the story. And here's what will happen next. Gi-hun Everdeen will put an end to the Hunger Games. In the finale, he will find the island and save the remaining survivors. Avengers from the world of Squid Game will capture the island, and the climax of the season will be Gi-hun's decision about the fate of the front man and possibly even the VIPs. It's possible that Gi-hun will again show mercy and distribute the prize money to families who lost loved ones in the games. And then he will visit his mother's grave. There he will receive a call from an unknown number, immediately panic, suspecting that the game organizers have found him again. But instead, he hears his child's voice on the phone. Gi-hun will finally feel worthy to meet his daughter, and a true expression of happiness will appear on his face. Fade to black, credits. Yes, that will be a nice end for the series. But I don't believe it. I believe the conclusion will be much darker. For example, Gi-hun becomes the new front man. Recently, the actor playing Gi-hun appeared on The Jimmy Fallon Show, and when asked if he would play the next frontman, he pressed both buttons at the same time. What? What if, after capturing the island, Gi-hun forces the VIPs and the guards to compete against each other with no real chances of winning? Cruel and insane, perfectly in the spirit of the series. Gi-hun has already shown that the good in him quickly melts away. He overlooks that some players died in a nighttime clash and considers them a necessary sacrifice. It's also possible that Gi-hun wins the games for a second time, but after everyone around him dies again, he finally breaks. And this would be the worst possible outcome for him. The games continue. Gi-hun loses faith in humanity, and history repeats itself. Gi-hun becomes the next frontman. What would this lead to? In-ho manages to destroy Gi-hun morally. Guard number 11 and player number 246 team up with Junho and the military to save Gi-hun. After capturing the island, Gi-hun will show mercy towards the frontman and the VIPs, or decide to go all out. Like Il-nam and In-ho, Gi-hun puts his ambitions above family, and those who neglect their loved ones usually come to a sad end and die alone. Like Il-nam. Given the mess the frontman has made, the chances that he will survive to the end of the third season are 0. If Gi-hun follows the same path, I think the same fate awaits him. Since a favorable outcome is generally unlikely, perhaps Gi-hun and In-ho will sacrifice themselves to destroy the games. What if Gi-hun learns that the Squid Game is actually held all over the world, not just in Korea? Then we could see a sequel where he becomes a frontman and travels the world, destroying similar games from the inside. What do you think? How do you think the most popular series on Netflix should end? Write in the comments. That's all from me. If you like this video, don't forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell. Your activity is the best reward for me. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.